Welcome, I'm Max Wright, and today we'll be talking about Static Online with the number two ship build with the Cnidarian Defender, which is a Risa ship. So, as with all Risa ships, you'll need to earn this during the summer events. This time it's going to be from June the 30th to July the 30th of 2022. You'll need to earn 20 tokens at 1 per day. I forgot to delete my question mark about the question of it. And as I like to compare this to other ships, I've decided to compare it to two ships that I consider quite close to it. First of all, I'm comparing it to the Galaxy T5U, which is my closest free ship that which is not an event ship, so I always consider pick this one up. I also compare this to the Odyssey variant, the Verity Command, which is from the 10th anniversary set pack, which is the most expensive, one of the most expensive ships in the game, if you count in from the Zen Store, and it is a limited time event only. So it's very as some of these stats I basically did not, but I didn't check. I properly checked, and some of the stuff I've just forgot to click move from a question mark to a actual thing. But so we've got the 1.5 hull rating, which is pretty much very high as among the cruiser classes, which is all these three ships are, and has a 1.0 shield modifier. The Verity Command cruiser's got better shields, but not much else. This Cnidarian Defender turns slightly quicker, but it's slower, and also turns a bit slower as well. Its world core is antimatter. Antimatter. So just not a that isn't a question mark. That was just pure because I forgot to clean up the info after when I originally wrote this before it was released. This one's they all have Lieutenant Commander Tactical, a Commander Engineering slot, and the Cnidarian Defender's got a Lieutenant Commander Science and a Universal, and a Lieutenant Commander Universal with Miracle Worker. Every other one's got different seatings, but I just needed to put this for some comparisons, and as they are all 4-4 weapon ships, so this is why unlike most of the other ships, this one happens to be a 5 engineering of 3 science and 3 tactical. This is just purely because of what it is, and as Galaxy class, this has got the Galaxy class has got less consoles, but that's purely because it's a T5U and not a T5. Not a T6. And Verity Command it's got 4 engineering, 4 tactical, and 3 science, so it's got same amount of consoles, I believe, but it does more damage than the has got more damage potential than the Cnidarian Defender, and I forget, and the device slots are not too much, and because this was written before it, the only Verity Command can support dual cannons, and that is only something because it can do, and it's got a unique console called the Cnidarian Defense, which flips your ship upside down and does some stuff. The Galaxy has the social separation console, which separates your ship and allows you to fly the battles battle section of the galaxy, which is the lower half, where let the social section fly on its own. The Verticommand has basically, because this is a temporary version, it has 6 unique consoles which come with it. One of them is the effective social separation, but for the Odyssey ships, and there's quite a few others. It also has I believe, an anger bay and has inspiration abilities. The Starship trait on the Cnidarian Defender is, let's remember, which I'll cover in a minute, and Verticommand has got several traits, but one of them, the big ticket one, is the continuing mission. I haven't looked too much into this one, but but I'll just keep having it. I'm just giving it here to mention it, to complete the set. So, the Universal Console, the Cnidarian Defense. This is a toggle, and it lasts indefinitely until it's deactivated. It will automatically drop if your hull drops below 10%. While it's active, you lose access to your weapons, and flight speed and turn rate is set to 3, which means you basically don't go much. It's really slow. If just basically hang around, very slowly. After 5 seconds, and then for each second within 10 kilometers, your allies get hit points and damage resistance ratings for 5 seconds, and your enemies get heavy electrical damage and a 10% chance of getting a hold for every second. And this is for a 2-minute recharge, so it's very nice to use if you need a emergency heal, or say your teammates these heals and stuff. So it's a very, very, very weird one to use, and I'm not sure if you should be using it or not as a high-end DPSer. But the trait, on the other hand, is something I would recommend having slotted, just for the sake of for if you have not much many others. Gelatinous membrane is activating hull heal or any Milk Worker abilities grants it to the target or to yourself 8% 80 physical and kinetic damage resistance ratings, and reflects the said physical and kinetic damage 25% of the damage. That before your resists, which you will just gain a lot by your trait, back at the detector for 10 seconds. So very nice to have. However, due to the way it works, second line tracks damages stuff. Not all such damage will be reflected, such as those originate from indirect sources such as anomalies, hazards, and mines. Anomalies include gravity wells and some of the other stuff. So you're basically relying on someone shooting you with a torpedo to get the stuff to be reflecting. But that's a side effect of various other. That's also effect of various other abilities, such as feedback pulse and stuff. So it's not a big loss there. So it's not. So moving on to my thoughts on initially. This ship is built around survivability, which is one half of the tanking idea. The Lieutenant Commander Universal seat allows the Jellyfish, which I'm going to nickname it, Jellyfish is focused onto to be one either be attack, defense, or even magic. This ship happens to be one of the biggest ships you can pick up out there. It's about the same size as Odyssey's Saucer section, which is one of the biggest ships in the game. Oh, it's not the Odyssey, it's the Universe class, which is the Enterprise J. Driving this ship is going to be quite a shock for some US Scott players. And I can tell you, if I wasn't if I wasn't playing with a scimitar on a regular basis, I would be what the heck? But it is learnable to drive this ship. But the big question everyone really wants to know: is this ship worth getting? And I really got to say, yes. And this is always going to be the case with this one. Worth getting? Yeah, really. For new players, this will be probably your first tier 6 ship, and you'll probably get access to a decent ship ability card. For everyone else, hey, you get free tier 6 ship for every character on your account. And if you want to get it later, well, for a limited time with little warning, previous event ships may appear in the Zone Star. The cost is high, even more than trying to pay up the costs with real money during the event in the first place. We have little idea when these ships will appear for and how long, and I really suggest you do get your ships where you can. It's a lot more useful for getting an event ship and discovering it's good, and before working out discover it's good, or discovering a ship, or skipping an event ship because you don't think it's good, and discover it's the best thing since sliced bread. If you don't believe me, look at some of the old previous event ships. Now we have the Press Child, which is the top images, which has got a very decent trait called Cold-Hearted, which you cannot obtain over them picking up the Green Press Child Heavy Raider from the Phoenix Box events. So then there's the Bajoran Interceptor with the Domino console. Again, Phoenix Box event, and you really have to help to get hold of that one. And then the Reason Corvette for the Sultan with the Sultan Waving Pellet experimental weapon. Also worth picking. Also not worth the previous Riser event, but again and you've got to wait for that appear in the mods market. So those are the reasons why I would pick up the ship. Or those are the reasons why I would why it's worth considering picking up the ship and considering to even just use it if you don't. So let's give some thoughts about building the ship and some more theory in this case, but I do like to. This is what you're here for. So I'm going to cover I've changed the rules for budget builds slightly. Most of these are just going to be more of the back end stuff, but it's not the rules. I've not changed super differently, but day one builds. These are basically items that must be in the drop table. The exceptions will be for the items that will come, items, traits, and any other stuff that comes with a ship or event. A limited number of early mission rewards are considered, especially if there's anything that's useful is available. Day 45, which I consider being the easiest day to get hold of because the tier 5 rewards to Day 45 builds. I've decided you can now pick up most of the tier 4 rewards, barring the competitive, because I'm treating that one as being hardest to get hold of, and all mission rewards will be now considered. Day 75. I'm now 60 days. That's 30 days after day 45. I think all tier 4 rewards now considered. Craft only items are also now considered, but you do have. And if you're if I'm working on it, there's also one final thing to add: day 90 builds. I've decided to add day 90 builds for fleet items, and these ships could be now considered complete. Any item that I consider to be expensive should not be replaced with in later builds for the same ship. So if I do a day 45 and a day 75 build, both of those have I won't be getting you to get a expensive item and then replace it in the next build. Item mods are generally not considered unless there is a reason for picking it up. Picking up that particular mod for the build. Item upgrades are generally not considered required. Most of the time I do these practical tests, the items are often Mark 12, but sometimes are below that. Due to the way I've got locked some stuff, some of the later builds will be Mark 13 purely because of the way I get hold of them. Bridge officer powers will often be ranked to rank 1 or 2 until I get hold of day 75 builds. There are exceptions to this, but I'll mention them when they come out. But it's usually if you can guarantee to get hold of a rank 3 power, they are free to be used. Items from lockboxes, Zen stores, lobby stores events are not considered. Only event items and buff powers are available at the same event that you earn the same ship is often considered as well considered to be used. However, I will point out when I do use Zen stores and lobby starships or even lockbox ships, their particular console is always allowed. And why do I have the day 45 and day 75 builds? Day 45 is roughly the time when a player will complete tier 5 of most reputations. It is also expected that most players will have completed the story by this time. Competitive is skipped because how tricky it is to complete it without relying on various other stuff, so it's skipped. Day 75 is roughly the time when a player will get round to tier 6 of a reputation. Tier 6 will earn some variants of gear, which is the reason why I don't always consider them to use it all the time, because if you want to, and because you've been playing for a while, you've probably got 75 days worth of dilithium to use it as well, in addition to some other stuff. My first rush on the ship. My first ship on the orbital faction ship, can I run dual cannons or beams? And like this, as for many ships, such as cruisers, their choice was already made for me. They can't equip dual cannons in the first place. The ship itself really does feel like it should have a fire at will focus. 4 is a common acronym for within Starship Online build circles. This ship can run either photonic officer or dual locks to battery to help with cooldown reduction, and it can run a hybrid of both if so wish. Getting the aggro to make you do the tanking is somewhat tricky, but it is not impossible. So the big question is picking. One of my second choices is picking a colour. Now with the trading console we get with the ship, there's no particular need to pick a engine type up for synergy. So I've decided to run the budget choices, and I've decided to go for the polar one. Polar one is actually more of a visual reason because it matches the encounter at Farpoint visually, and believe it or not, the ship comes with polar one. So, and in the encounter of Farpoint, the defender fired purple shots. So, this will use this, of course. I'll use sets which I will cover or have covered in the set talks videos. So I often make a shopping list. Since we've got 20 days to get hold of a ship, that means you've got 20 days to get hold of the items for the new ship before you can fly it. Because of you're playing around on Risa, you can hatch eggs and redeem monkey tags for doing Risa events. These will you can grow these into monkeys and birds, which will easily get you through to most of those days worth of at least 2 reputations worth of reputation. So, but you can also be willing to buy stuff if you're willing to farm favours and go out and do some other stuff which isn't on Risa. 5 favours are Lunar favours and they are heavy around Risa. So now it's Reyn time. So this is what I nickname about tanking. This is basically Reyn is a character from Xenoblade Chronicles, and is according to everyone who, according to the Xenoblade Chronicles fandom, they call Reyn a face tank, or a guy who gets all the aggro and and takes the hits, and there is the evasive tank, which is the basically you get all the aggro and you dodge all the instead of hitting you dodge out the way. But this is about getting the attention of energy and enemies, and you getting a lot of the hits. Many of the choices I will make about the ship will be making is more about making my ship attractive to enemies and basically turning up the heat on you. While focusing on guarding is a great idea, my plans don't stop us from doing damage. We need to do damage to actually get a lot of aggro, believe it or not. A good tank will let your team take damage where possible, and I really do mean this. I've played with some really good tanks, and I like get hit once, twice, and the only reason why I'll get hit those times, they were out of range and I was out of position. So that's how good they are. You don't have to worry about taking too much damage. But let's have a look at my ship for the Austin. Welcome to our little ship. Not so little ship. This is the Austin, as it's called, but this is just a random name. So now I've picked Botanic Officer here because it's the easiest to pick to actually use. Now, believe it or not, to avoid the as my day 45 rules specify, no rank 3 gear on there, and this really messes up the actual entire setup. And I'm using let's have a look at what we've got. Right, I will start off. This is actually the day 75 build with the day 45 bridge officer layout, but it's because there's a big pile of there's a couple of other free rank 3 abilities that I can't add to include. And so let's get started. This is the advanced piezo Polaron beam ray from the tier 6 from the Lucari. Again, this is one of the latter pieces, but it's for tank pretty decent. But I'm using it because it's a Polaron weapon and it's a part of the set, and you want to do much damage as you can. And this is the first part of the morphogenic set. This is actually the torpedo from the home, and this is a 3-part set, so quite nice. There's two random Polaron weapons that come from the Delta repetition. These are just here for the sake of being here. And I've picked up a deflector ray. This is just standard one from just a standard one for I can fit on my Jebediah. But many others will do. But I will suggest going for one of the Fleet Colony ones if you can. And this is a day 60 build. I have a prevailing innovative inputs engine from the competitive setup. And then there's for day 45 I'll pick up the Discovery 2 piece, which is the Mycelia Wapka and the Mycelia and the Review pending modified shield, and these are pretty decent because these actually makes this boosts our ability to tank a bit, and well, as a shield capacity, so you can hold all your shields up quite a bit longer. Right, and again, this is Dominion Polaron, but this is purely because I'm on a Dominion character. You get Polaron weapons for free, and this is the only reason why I got it. But and then there is the morphogenic Polaron energy weapon. And this is somewhat of a unique weapon, which I really need to cover when we do home. But this is for the purpose of this video, will be a 360 beam array, and this actually does count as a 360 beam array, and I can't use another 360 beam array in here. And I've picked up the Quantum torpedo from the Gelatinous task force purely because I'm running another piece of the Task Force setup, and then the kinetic cutting beam from the Omega reputation. This is pretty nice. Now, since this is this console that comes with the ship, I've just put it on here, and well, my whole healing. Then there's the piezo electric focuser. And this is more to give us a bit more controllability and boosts our Polaron damage. And of course, and since this is part of, I've got the 2-piece, and you can get this one before the thing, but you can also get access to the increased because it's a 2-piece set. You can get a bit more Polaron damage and with it, so you can get quite a bit of Polaron damage just for completing this set. And I've also got the Universal Ordnance Accelerator from which increases but your projectile weapon damage and your Polaron damage, which is the reason why I put it in. And again, increase flight terminate, which you might need when you fly, because this ship is a heavy ship. And I've then just picked up my usual tutorial in my life to reduce the damage coming into this ship, even though it's not got a lot, it's got quite a bit. Then I've got power transfer rate, because you're going to be needing to put a lot of power into your systems. For science, I've deliberately gone for the standard shield array and shield regeneration. However, I should point out that there are other options, including including this where is it? So the Omega, the assimilated module, which I could easily put in for this episode, but I could just put the assimilated module in. This will actually synergize well with the cutting beam as well. For tactical consoles, I recommend going with power boosting consoles from either the random or crafted drops, and whatever else you can find. But also the morphogenic matrix controller, which is a tactical console from home to cover the last slot. Now, whilst it being a Mark 15, and it does add less damage, but it also increases a 3-piece set, which makes some very good stuff happening later on. But you can swap these to the fleet ones for my fleet setups. Just give you an idea that how well that works. That's my dropping in a Omega setup, and it just has some increased whole stuff. It's increased your weapon power as well, so it can be worth keeping up. Now, let's talk about our British officer stations and a few other things we need to do whilst we're flying. Now, this is my day 45 build, and I'm going to cover what very quick short things. Now, first of all, I'm using standard bridge officers. These Jem'Hadar, whilst they are very powerful, all these have got abilities that you can easily obtain from Earth Space Stock or Kronos to get and these are all from a vendor, so you can get all these abilities can come from a vendor. However, not all these I would recommend. First, let's cover our defences. We're going to be covering our weapon defence, but our engineering. I've got Aston Beam 2 purely because it's one of two abilities that I can slot in here. I would recommend auxiliary to. There is a Mark 3 ability that I would stick here if I could get a hold of it. Then there is a directed modulation, engine modulation 2 here, which is only here because because it's a cheap thing where I can easily slot it here. Then there's military power to weapons, which is very useful for getting around here. Then there is military power to shields 1, which boosts this ship a bit power. Because I'm just using the. Then we've got for my tactical officer, we're going for attack pattern beta 2, fire at will 2, and torpedo spread 1. Will get us a lot of attention and basically drops the enemy defenses down a bit, so you can help bring down enemies pretty quick. And for the science officer, we go for photonic officer 2. Hazard emitters 2 and science team 1. Now that means that we've really got one super good heal for this moment, but you can always change this down to energy modulation to a different ability. So we can always auxiliary to power to structural integrity, which is very useful for this. This will give you a heal, which you may need. But this is a tank, and this can do a lot of stuff if you really want. It can really do. As for my day 60 build, I really do actually would change a lot of things around. So my first thing is to boost my fire at will to 3, because your differences between 3 and 2 are significant. You basically have no accuracy penalty with fire at will 3, and it increases various other stuff as well. I drop basically your attack pattern down to beta 2. I said this fire at will 3 is expensive, but it's very common within the areas where you can pick these up. Very common on exchange. My science officer is not going to change from here on out. Now, I sadly don't have the skill I want on here, so I'm going to switch it around so I can actually put the power ability I want on here. So I've deliberately gone for the I've swapped the engineer around to what I'm going to be using, what I would recommend to some degree. But this is roughly what I'll make my engineer to be on this for day 30. Auxiliary power to structural integrity 3, emergency power to weapons 3, which means that you get increased damage. Reverse shield polarity, which means you get a bit more, take a little less damage, and same with reverse emergency power shields. But then this third slot I'm basically referring to as the company got Metamar Kagolin is actually it's more of a play around, see what abilities work and what abilities don't work. However, that's pure because I've not used many of the abilities that are picked on here, but you can do a lot of things with these if you're willing to play around with them. However, you do have access to both miracle worker abilities and whatever bridge offer you slot in this here. For this, Metamal is actually an engineer, so he can equip any engineering ability if he feels like it. And I recommend engineer pure because we're in Jules' discovery.
This is Captain Kumarke of the LSS Riskava. My research group is under attack in the Andoria system. We believe the attack...
No, I don't have one. But you can pick up you can convert one of your own bridge officers to a milk worker specialization. So, that's very nice. Well, is this setup really going to be the best you can get? It is up to you. You could include engineering team as an extra hull heal, and I should also point out that a few abilities that the captain has is that you should try and equip is the threatening stance. This will make your ship a little bit more powerful, noticeable in ability, and you can increase this with your skill choices menu. And if you want to hang around like if you were a jellyfish, yeah. It's been Max Shirtwriter. See you guys next time. Now, I was talking about flexible seating and flexible answer. I really have to mention that the universal slot is very much universal, but the ship this ship that can run dual ox to bat or photonic officer for cooldown reduction or aka ability speed up. I actually just plan to use the cheaper option because it is a lot harder to run ox to bat when you need to invest in getting the technicians to get it to work. Photonic officer just needs the bridge officer to be there and active. My basic builds don't even really use the universal seating for actual, basic builds. I mean basic in the sense that it's minimal viable project. So it's minimal, so I don't need to use it. So basically this is more of the universal seating is more for playing around, trying to get what you think you need to get out of the ship. I will mention that healing will trigger the Starship trait, and don't forget to experiment. I always treat these videos as a guide, not a must follow, because I do like to play around. Sometimes do play around with my builds and change them over time slightly. Now my options for the shopping list, and these are just so I can pick what I can pick up. Now I recommend the 3-piece morphogenic elements, which you saw at the end on the ship. This is from the episode Home. Now I could recommend the chronometric polyron beam rate and the chronometric capacitor. These can give you a bit more damage, but they are not. I didn't have them to hand when making this video, so I skipped them out. But they are some decent things to consider getting hold of. But the capacitor and the console are both tactical consoles, and they are relatively weaker than the other stuff. So you are paying the console slot with a lot less damage. Now, you do need to learn a lot of max for this one, because there's at least 4 different items sets of items reputations you need to pick up on. Now, starting with the shield and warp core, the Silent Scintillary field modification set, or 2-piece set, from the Discovery Reputation. And I've picked up the Ordnance Accelerator, which is the Universal Console, and the wide angle inhibiting Chronoton torpedo launcher from the Gamma Reputation. This is, and you can use the random level up boxes to prove your weapons within this using this rep stuff. Then I've picked up the tactical for the piezoelectric focuser and the advanced piezo beam ray for the Lucari Reputation, which did also slot. These two are basically going to be very good and very good for doing quite a bit of short-term damage, and because I've got short-term damage, and it also boosts his polymer up quite a bit. And I also recommend trying to get all of the competitive impulse engines. However, I do have to warn you that the competitive impulse engines are in the competitive slot. There are a dozen of them, and I can't remember which one's the best one to pick for the tanks. But you can read the stats as you go along. And as I always said, don't be afraid to experiment. Anyway, this has been Mike Sharpwriter. See you guys next time.